In this video, I'm going to show you the exact ad strategy that tripled one of our clients' revenue, and we are using with another one to break past the $1 million a month mark consistently. This strategy is designed specifically for info products and coaching offers. This is not one of those generic ad videos that promise an ad strategy that works in every niche but actually works in one or two. And it's extremely simple because simple scales, and this lays the foundations for more complex campaigns. First, I'm going to go over the 5 principles to keep in mind to running successful ads. Then I'm going to walk you through the exact framework to structure your creatives, from finding angles and formats to scripting and recording. After we go over the creatives, I'm going to show you the testing framework so that you don't waste money on dead ads, and this is the part that most people get wrong and is the most important. And then towards the end, I'm going to show you the ad formats that are ripping for us for both smaller offers between 10 and 30k a month and bigger offers above $1 million a month, all while keeping in mind the new Andromeda update. The way we structure campaigns since that update completely changed. So the strategy I'm going to show you is specifically made for ads on Facebook, for info offers and coaching offers in 2026. I actually hope this video doesn't get many views because the more people start using it, the less effective it becomes. Our clients won't probably be super happy about me sharing all this because the strategy for now for them is absolutely ripping. But yeah, let's jump onto my laptop and let's get into it. The first principle, and in my opinion the most important, is that you should see ads as environmental pollution. Ads are polluting the platform. So why then Instagram and Facebook are letting people pollute the platform and ruin the user experience? Well, because they need to make money, right? But you can use this as an advantage to pollute the platform as little as possible with your ads. So how do you achieve that? By making your ads look as organic as possible. And I'm going to show you later in the video some formats, some specific formats and frameworks to use to make your ads look really organic and trick people's mind to not even realize that those are actually ads. They're going to look like organic videos. The more organic your ads look, the less they're going to pollute the platform, the more the platform is going to show them without you having to spend more, because you're ruining less the user experience. The second principle is a 7-11-4 rule by Google, which states that someone, before they buy from you, they need to consume 7 hours of content on 11 touch points and 4 different platforms. With this in mind, you understand that you need to prioritize volume and diversity, but also that you need to create bridges between platforms. And again, later in the video, I'm going to show you some little hacks that we use to send people from one platform to the other and maximize watch time and maximize touch points. Everybody talks about volume and diversity, but nobody actually tells you how to achieve that. Well, I'm going to show you how to create a library of ICPs, angles, topics, formats, and types so that you never ever run out of diversity. And we're going to create ads that are different under every single aspect, not just ICP and different angle. I see a lot of ad beginners seeking vanity metrics like cost per follow, cost per view, cost per click, but those metrics don't actually guarantee that you're going to get clients. As we're going to see in a moment, you need to track conversion and cost per acquisition and then make decisions based on that. I can get you 1 million views tomorrow, but that doesn't actually guarantee that you're going to get clients. And sometimes the ad with the highest cost per follow or cost per click or cost per DM is the one that converts the best and so has the lowest cost per acquisition, which is ultimately what makes or breaks the ROAS. If you have a limited budget, don't spread yourself too thin. Okay, diversity, okay, volume, but if your budget is limited, don't spread yourself too thin, otherwise you don't give enough data, enough money to the algorithm to be able to properly test their creatives, especially if you use like Advantage Plus campaigns and stuff like that. Right, with these 5 principles in mind, we can go ahead and see how to structure the campaign. The first and probably most important thing is of course research, but don't just go and copy your competitor's ad library. Go a bit deeper and actually ask your clients first why they converted. So if you haven't done it yet, just set up a quick onboarding form that you send out to your current clients and to newly onboarded clients from now on, where you ask why they converted, why they chose you, what was the position they were in when they decided to hire help, what specifically made them convert, and a whole bunch of different questions to also improve your marketing overall in your content. By the way, you can find the template to this form in the description of this video. The reason why this form is so accurate because your prospects, now clients, are going to tell you exactly the problems that they're facing using their words. And that's the key. You want to use their angles using their words. You want to use those in your content and in your ads. The reason why this data is so accurate is because prospects, now clients, are going to use specific words to describe their situation and to describe these angles. And you want to use those words in your ads because those are the ones that trigger them the most. Look here, for example, this is James, a sports nutritionist. Bonking on runs, getting older, wanted guidance, wanted to achieve PBs, wanted more knowledge, feeling fat and horrible on holiday. My daughter nagging me, help improve my energy and running abilities. See how easy it is to come up with a library of angles, of very powerful angles once you have all these gold data. The second best place to find angles is through the person who's spending the most time with your prospects, so most probably your setter. So get them to fill out an end of week report like this one, where you ask, what's the most common current situation? What's the most common pain point? What's the most common desire? And again, you wanted to use the specific words that they use. And also every other day or every third day, check the conversations and look for angles. Another good place to find angles is your organic content. But again, don't look at vanity metrics like views, go a little bit deeper and look for saves, shares, follow per 1,000 views, meaningful comments, the retention chart. These are the metrics that actually indicates you whether a video is valuable or not, whether an angle is powerful or not, whether a format is entertaining or not. I'm gonna show you both a bad example and a good example. This video, for example, is from James, and this video got over 40,000 views organically in a matter of a couple of weeks. And just as a reference, he had less than 10,000 followers back then, so it's a pretty solid amount of views, especially for a video that is like 60 to 90 seconds long. So a lot of views, but not a lot of prospects. Why? Because the video talks about not having an emergency mid-run, right? Not having to go to the toilet in the middle of your run. But that's not something that actually is painful enough to get usually people to buy, right? To buy a 2K, 2.5K program. So a lot of views, but not a lot of prospects. And here is a good example. Again, 500,000 views completely organically for a triathlon coach. This video is like, again, a minute long, probably even more. And we just packed all the angles from the onboarding form into this video, into this value-driven video. And without any call to action, without any ad, look at the number of meaningful comments. Look how much time people actually take to respond to this video. This is an extremely valuable video. A lot of attention, great engagement, and this is the indication that this video is really valuable. And you should use the same format, the same topic, and the same angles for your ads. And then yes, you can look at your competitors' content and your competitors' ad library. But again, don't look for vanity metrics, look deeper, see the saves, shares, and comments to see why actually the video performed well, and ask yourself, okay, did this video actually just got views or actually brought prospect to this person? Once you do all this, you want to create a list of angles. And I'm going to show you James's just as a reference. Get in shape to have the energy to keep up with your kids. Blindly hitting macros and calories targets without worrying about quality. You want to do more, but your body won't let you. And you think it's your age or your discipline, while it's your nutrition. Your mind wants to keep training, but your body works against you. These are all sentences that we took from sales calls, from the DMs, from the onboarding form, and we just created a library. And now whenever you need to create an ad, we just grab a format, a type, a call to action, a bunch of angles, we blend everything together, and we have winning ads. A lot of people really overcomplicate ads, but you heard me mentioning formats multiple times throughout the video. And this, my friend, is the whole point of this video. This is why our ads are ripping compared to our competitors. Everybody's doing these statics or these story sequences sometimes, or these carousels, or these boring ass talking head videos. What we are doing here is, again, remember at the beginning what I said, we need to make the videos as organic looking as possible. So what we do is we blend some organic hooks with an ad. This is how we do it. Here, for example, we have a Snapchat hook plus value plus call to action. As you can see, we have a very organic looking video, and we immediately call out the ICP here, and it's kind of funny already. And then after, there is a very smooth transition to the talking head part, right? So the majority of the people are already hooked by here, and then after we provide some value, we have a call to action. So this is the first type of hybrid ads, as I like to call them, that we use. Another one is the skit, where you have two people speaking, and then again after the skits you have a talking head part, and then at the end you have a call to action. As you can see here, the transition, boom. If the call to action is towards a valuable resource, you don't even have to provide value in the ad. You can just have an amplifier after the hook, like the ones that we did for Ayub, the guy making $1 million a month in info. As you can see, again, Snapchat hook, bro got caught praying in a parking lot. A situation that is very relatable for the ICP, and as you can see, we grab their attention, and then boom, we switch to the talking head. And we keep in the background the two guys fighting and arguing just to increase their attention even further. And as you can see, 30 seconds, just an amplifier here, just to resonate even more with the ICP and tell them what the call to action is about. And then in the call to action, click the link below. Here got another one, and I was actually the actor in this case. Bro got scammed by a course seller. Essentially, you bought a course and you just got scammed, right? We created this little skit, this little hook, and then the transition in this case is me throwing the glass, boom, and then transition to the amplifier part before the call to action. And in this case as well, I'm here down in the background, again, just to have another element to increase attention through the boring part of the ad after so much dopamine. And we are running these ads, maybe you've seen them if you're a Muslim probably, and these two that I just showed you are the ones that amongst all of them are performing best. If you want, you can even bake the call to action in the skit. Like in this case, for charts, we have a very, again, organic looking video. You've probably seen them in different niches. You have like good closer, in this case 50K a month closer versus 5K a month closer, and then at the end the 50K a month closer tells the 5K a month closer, hey, click the link below or comment blah blah. So the call to action is again very subtly baked in the video. This is what I mean by making your ads look as organic as possible. I don't actually use it that often, but if you want, you could use a viral hook to hook people and then you transition to your call to action, right? So how much do you need to retire? 10 million? No, you don't, blah, 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 right? This is a organic content. I don't think that these guys are running it as an ad. This is not one of my clients. The only one that is not my client that I'm showing you. But again, this is to show you how you can get creative to make your ad look organic. Another example is the POV plus talking head, right? So again, you have a sequence of clips with a text. The ICP is hooked. The ad look organic, and then they don't even realize it's an ad. And then when they least expect it, we transition smoothly to a talking head part where we provide some value and then we have a call to action at the end. And you can do the same, but instead of value, you have an amplifier. For value-driven ads, you're gonna have to find topics, and you don't wanna use boring topics, of course. So you wanna look for trending hot topics, and you wanna also look for seasonal topics. So if it's January, you're not gonna look for off-season plans because the season actually starting, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. So you wanna look for how to craft your own running training plan, how to design your fitness training plan for 2026, whatever, okay? How to set your goals for 2026, how to make money 2026, whatever, okay? So be seasonal, be smart, and look at what's working according to what's trending online at the moment. Right, once you have angles, formats, and topics, all you need is types. These are the classic different types of ads that probably you've seen online by now if this is not the first video on ads that you've watched, right? So you have value-driven ads, you have interviews, case studies, client breakdowns, storytelling, myth busting, objection handling, comparison, behind the scenes, and so on and so forth. Great, again. Now we know the principles and we know how to create this library of angles, formats, types, and topics. But how do we actually blend these four things together to create something that makes sense? And how many creatives we create per campaign? Well, this is the campaign framework that I personally use. These are the 6 creatives that I usually create, and then of course I test them using the framework that I'm gonna show you in a second. Hybrid ads are absolutely ripping, but they're also quite hard to create, and you need to be quite good at organic content. That's why I still like to include in my campaign 1, 2, or 3 classic boring talking head ads, just because they're easier to create and it's almost a safe bet. But then if you want to push the boundaries and really make the ads organic and really gain traction and destroy the cost per acquisition, then you need to be a bit more creative and go for the hybrid ads. So I usually create a classic talking head, value driven with one angle, and a comment call to action. I love comment call to actions. I love ManyChat. What I don't like that much is direct call to action. For example, DM me for help. Simply because it's just too much. Like, this person doesn't know you. Why would they reach out to you, right? Straight away asking for help if they don't even know you and they consumed 30 to 60 seconds of your content. Instead, what you can do, instead of asking them just to go on the profile, which is kind of dispersive, you can channel them and shorten the conversion cycle by asking them to comment for a resource. So the barrier is lower because they just have to comment for a resource. They're not asking for help, right? They're just getting more value. But you know that if they go to the end and they want more value, they are qualified, right? And then you send a resource, which can be your VSL, your full course, or another YouTube video, whatever, or even a course module. You send the resource and they consume the resource, and then your setter reaches out to them after they consume the resource, right? So this way you get more cheaper inbounds and the conversation is much smoother and easier to start, and the response rate is also higher because they already consumed this very specific resource with potentially a call to action. And sometimes what happens is they book from the call to action in the resource, right? So in the YouTube video, for example, there is a resource to book a call with the link in the description. Sometimes they book from there. So they come from the ad, they consume the VSL, the YouTube video, whatever, and then they book from there, right? This is how much more powerful this funnel is compared to just running ads and then asking for people to DM and then starting a conversation without giving any value and any resource. So this one again is a safe bet. The second one, I usually do a objection handling or comparison or myth busting type of ad with another angle and the same call to action to the same resource or another resource. Again, you can really create diversity in so many aspects. Again, don't just change the angle, change the colors, change the format, change the setting, change the resource, change the call to action, change as many things as possible. Andromeda is going to love you. And then I start going crazy with the hybrid ads. So snapshot, value driven, angle A, again, comment call to action. POV with amplifier, so no value in this case, angle B, and comment call to action. And then I also like to have some normal checkout page to get leads so that the setter can both handle inbound and warm outbound. This is just to increase a bit the volume just so that the setter is busier. Because yes, it's easy to get comments, especially if the creative is good and you use hybrid ads, but getting a follow is always easier and cheaper. So you want to find the balance between comments coming in and also followers overall. Keep in mind that people sometimes both comment and follow at the same time, especially if the ad creative is really, really good. And this is really the basic. This is as simple as you can get. Sounds too simple, but again, simple scales. And if you have one or two ads redirecting people to a VSL or a resource, if you have one or two ads driving traffic, that's all you need, especially if the ads are good and organic looking, as I explained above. But if you do research the way I explained, and then you blend everything together like I explained, there is no way you're going to fail. Trust me, the button clicking thing on the ad manager is not what makes the difference. What makes the difference is you creating actually good creatives. So I'm going to show you in a moment, the little button clicking thing in the ad manager, but that's not what moves the needle. What moves the needle is your creative, your volume, your creativity, and your diversity. And of course, how you test and iterate. Because if you don't know what you're doing when you're testing, you might kill the wrong ad. So again, if you want to complicate things a bit further, you can run retargeting ads, and you can have interview highlights ads. So you have your client, your student, and then you at the bottom, and you get a editor to create a flashy 30 to 60 second highlights of the interview, and then at the end you can have a call to action for people to comment to again receive either the full interview or, even better in my opinion, the client breakdown, where you explain how you got client A from X to Y. I don't like them that much, but if you want, you can try and run them as retargeting ads, the DM me for help type of ads. And static in your stories especially, and story sequences again only in the stories, are working pretty well as retargeting. Right, we covered a lot. We covered the principles, the research, and how to structure the campaign. So now you got pretty much everything. But before we dive into test and iterating, let me just give you some very important notes. The first one is that an optimized profile is as important as good ads. Because if you don't have testimonials, if you don't have case studies, if you don't have proper story highlights and pin posts and an optimized bio and profile picture, nobody's gonna follow you. So you can have the best ads, but then if you don't look trustworthy, the conversation is going to have so much friction. And even if you do manage, or your setter does manage to book some calls, the call is going to be quite hard because you don't have, again, an optimized nurturing mechanism to warm them up before they jump on call or to make the conversation process much easier. So make sure that you have proper pinned post, proper profile picture, bio, and make sure you have, like I said at the beginning, as many bridges as possible from Instagram to YouTube and from YouTube back to Instagram DMs, right? So you want to have story highlights with your testimonials, your case studies, your client breakdowns, and then in the end, you want to have call to actions to watch the full interview on YouTube, and so on and so forth. I'm going to make videos specifically on how to optimize your profile in the near future, so if you want, you can stick around. Very rarely ads above 60 seconds perform. Yes, the longer you could say, the more you qualify people, but the attention span is simply not longer than 60 seconds. And you can do an amazing job, but try and condense everything in 60 seconds. And this is mainly for value-driven ads. The ads that aren't providing value should be around 30 seconds. And this is pretty obvious, but if you ask people to check out your page, then you kind of have to provide value before, otherwise they don't have a reason to check out your page, right, and to follow you. So if you have a call to action for a resource, then yes, you can just have an amplifier. But if you have a follow me call to action or a check out my page call to action, then you can have a hook, an amplifier, and then a bit of value before you invite them to watch the profile for more value. And of course, again, pretty obvious, but your YouTube resources, your modules, your BSLs, whatever, your interviews, they need to be really optimized, because if they're not good, again, they're not gonna watch them and everything is pretty much just useless. So it would take too long for me here to explain exactly how to structure YouTube videos in the right way. You could probably pick something up from the way I'm structuring this video, but you can click up here somewhere on the screen to watch the video where I explain exactly how to script YouTube videos that actually work. And I know that this channel doesn't have lots of followers, but I scaled so many YouTube channels, and this is brand new, and you can come back in like 4-6 months and you can see the growth of the channel. It's pretty confident for me, but because I know what I'm doing with YouTube, and you can watch that video, is going to be pretty insightful, that you can structure your VSS and your YouTube videos in a way that actually get people to watch them until the end. Yay, finally the button clicking part that you were waiting for, that is probably making way less difference than you probably think. Actually, super simple. I use traffic campaigns. Again, this is specifically for info products and coaching offers with Instagram funnels. So you get people, you have a setter, and you have resources, you have YouTube, and then you convert people in the DMs and then on a call. For different products, low ticket products and everything might be different. This is the one that I use. So traffic campaign and then 2 different ad set goals. So if you have the checkout my page call to action, of course you're going to have the goal is going to be to send traffic to your Instagram page. So you select Instagram or Facebook here, and then you deactivate Facebook, and then the rest is pretty much like super simple. You want to select your budget, your location, one location at a time. I like to use Advantage Plus because, again, especially if the creative is good, you don't need to add further targeting. And I tweak the placements because I don't want my money to go on Facebook most of the times. And then when the call to action is to comment, usually it's better to have message destinations, and you can set up a way for people to also message you that keyword. And when you set up the ManyChat automation, you can get the automation to run both from comments and from DMs. Now, little important thing, in order for the ManyChat automation to run even from ads, you need to upload the ad creative as an organic post. You set up the ManyChat automation on that organic post, and then when it comes to running the ad in the ad manager, here you select you don't upload a file, you actually select that post from your profile. So little important thing. Then if you have DME type of ads, maybe retargeting, then you want to use engagement campaigns. Right, now that your campaign is up and running, you are ready to test and iterate. First of all, don't have a look at the numbers for the first like 3-4 days, because they're probably not going to be accurate, especially if you use the Advantage Plus. It takes a bit of volume and a bit of spend for the algorithm, the AI thing that is doing its things to actually understand where to put the ads, especially if you've never run ad before. It's going to take a bit longer to your AI thing on your profile to understand where to put those ads. The more data you have, the easier and faster it's going to be from there. Keep in mind when you create the ads to use different call to action keywords for different creatives so that you and your setter can easily identify where that lead is coming from. Because again, you want to track conversion, you don't want to track vanity metrics. And this is the shit that my setters and I use to track conversion. So you have the ad set and you have the creative, or you have the campaign and then the ad set. It doesn't really matter. And then inside here, you have the spend. So how much you spent on that exact creative. And then you have how many inbounds you got from that creative, how many conversations you started, and how many appointments you got, and how many sales. This way, you can actually see the cost per acquisition from that specific creative. This is the whole point. Don't look at any other number then, because this is what you should focus on. It takes a bit more time, takes a bit more volume, because again, you need to wait for people to go through the conversation sequence, book the call, and for the closer or yourself to take the call before you actually have an accurate data. And you need to do it for multiple prospects. That's why you should kind of have a pretty solid spend at the beginning per creative, so that you don't have to wait too much to get an accurate cost per acquisition from an ad. When it comes to warm outbound, it's a bit harder to track whether a specific creative is actually bringing clients or just followers, but just kind of get the overall feel, right? If you're running to check out my page type of ads and all the prospects are uninterested and unqualified, then there's probably something wrong. You didn't use the right angles in the creatives, because again, there is not enough pain usually. But that's for 10 to 14 days, again, depending on how fast, how quick is your conversion cycle. So the more nurturing systems you have, the more bridges to YouTube you have, and the more optimized your profile is, the shorter your conversion cycle is going to be, and the sooner you're gonna get that data, that cost per acquisition from ad. Once you have the winning ones, just kill and readjust the budget, and then increase the budget from there, and then take the winning angles, formats, types, and topics for value-driven ads, and create one or more super species ads. That's something I learned from Charlie Morgan. Essentially, you run different ads, and then you take the winning angles, you take the winning things, and you blend them together, and you create the super species, the winning species, the chad. And you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So test one thing at a time. If you're testing 10 different creatives and your budget is limited, test the creatives first, and then you can test, for example, other metrics like the location, the different interests, and all that stuff. And one thing that kind of sucks is don't emotionally attach to creatives. Sometimes you're gonna create a super good ad and you're gonna be so proud of it, but don't be attached, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You don't decide, the market decides. So let data speak for yourself. And there you have it. I hope this video was valuable. Again, remember the 5 principles. Remember to do research on all those different places that I mentioned and to blend and everything together, and then test different creatives, different formats, different types, implement hybrid ads, and then find the winning spaces based on cost per acquisition. These are the most important things, the key takeaways from this video. Again, I hope this was valuable. You heard me a couple of times throughout this video mentioning the importance of a setter. So if you don't have a dialed-in setter, you must watch this video where I explain exactly how to hire, train, onboard, and manage a setter that is going to rip and help you through the content creation process and the ad process. Watch this video.